Now we're going to look at Dorset Limited, which is from page 61 of the workbook, so the final question on our mock exam workshop 7. So Dorset Limited, and what you want to do is create pivot tables that give you the answers you need to be able to fill in these boxes here. So every time you find an answer, you fill it into the boxes here. So this was the pivot table I've just created, so it's got nothing in it at the moment. So the first question, it wants to know which region created the most profit. So clearly we're going to scroll down our list, we're going to need profit, and we're going to need region. And remember that you can right click and sort, and you can sort largest to smallest. So the answer, the region that's generated the most profit is the Southwest, 11,066. So Southwest, 11,066. And so on. Just a couple of things to show you. So one is if you start to bring dates into it, so if we bring dates here, we'll get rid of regions. Currently they're in months, which might be what you want. If it isn't, if you go onto the pivot table tools on the toolbar to analyze group selection, you can change it around. So for example, you might want months and quarters. You might just want quarters. So that is the way that you change between the timelines. So I know, for example, question M, it wanted to know which salesperson generated the most profit in quarter 1. So at the moment we've got quarters, we've got profit, we haven't got salespeople in. So if we bring salespeople down here, what we could then do is add the date up to the top as a filter. And we could then click here, click quarter 1, that filters only for quarter 1, and then we could right click, sort largest to smallest, and that will give us the answer as being L winder, and the profit was 1,506. So that is our answer that goes in M here. So what we did there, just to recap, we changed the date information, we regrouped it, so we clicked on group selection, and that allowed us to toggle between dates, months, quarters, years, and after we'd done that we then dragged the date up here into this box so that we could then filter just by the date that we wanted. You could do that via a slicer as well if you wanted to use the slicer instead, that would be fine. Okay, so I think you should be able to work through those questions based on that. I was looking here, question P asks you for which product makes the most profit in the Southwest region in September. So here I've brought in profit as my value, I've brought in items as my rows, and currently I've filtered on date, and that's appearing as quarters. So I'm going to change that to months because I don't want quarters, I want months now. So I've got items, I've got profit, the information I haven't got is region, so I'm going to have to bring in region here. And we're looking for which product made the most profit in the Southwest region in September. So first of all, if we click September, so we're filtering by September, we only want to be looking at the Southwest. So now we can see it's lamp, and the amount of profit was 1,280. So that's just a way of getting to that figure there, which is the bottom one on our data sheet. Okay, just a word in terms of the presentation task. I noted when looking at your mock exam uploads, what a lot of you had calculated the percentage. So we're looking at question Q now, the presentation task. We asked you to calculate an additional field showing profit as a percentage of the grand total. A lot of you had done that outside of the pivot table here. So you'd done equals that divided by that. Okay, and then you'd change that to be a percentage. Now that's doing the job, but it's not within the pivot table. Where we need it to be is within the pivot table. So the way of doing that, if I just get rid of that, the way of doing that is what you need to do is bring profit in. You've already got profit in your pivot table down here. Bring it in again. So bring it in a second time. So it's appearing twice. And then on the second instance, if you right click and go to value field settings, you want to click on the second tab here, show values as, and you want to be going percentage of grand total. And then that gives you the same information, but within the table, which is what you want. And I know a few of you have questioned, it says use pivot table style medium 3. Here you're going up to the top where pivot table tools, you're looking at design. And if you go down here, you can see all the different styles. So medium here, and then you're hovering over and it will tell you, there you go, medium 3, and that's the one that you want in this particular case. And obviously if you're renaming row column headings, you're just going to be typing in there. So that was the presentation task. And then the final task is a VLOOKUP. So in this case, you're asked to create a new spreadsheet. So you just copy the data into a new spreadsheet, and then you create a VLOOKUP based on it. So your VLOOKUP, when we introduce this to you, it's way back in workshop 2, which is also where you've got the pivot table tutorial. So page 26, it takes you through the pivot table tutorials. The lookup function is on page 28, and again there's a tutorial on this. If you can't remember or you weren't at workshop 2, you're looking on page 28, 29, and there are materials online to help you. But basically your VLOOKUP formula, you're typing in equals VLOOKUP, not lookup, VLOOKUP. And then you're telling it what you want it to look up. So what you want it to look up is the name of the item. Where you want it to look up the item in this instance is here. So if you highlight columns as a whole, it makes your formula easier to update. And what we want to say is, okay, well, if it finds that item, so if it finds bookcase, how many columns do you want it to count across? So in this case, we want it to count across 1, 2, so we're going to type 2 there, and then we want an exact match, so we're going to type in false. So can you see that is now bringing in the price of a bookcase as £125. The reasoning behind this is, what if I want to go and change the price of a bookcase? So now I'm going to say the price is £150. If I change it here once, it changes on this worksheet and all the cases where there's a bookcase, so here, it's updated all of those to £150. So when my price or my cost changes, I only need to make the change once in this worksheet, and it flows through to all the parts of this worksheet. And obviously that's because I've pulled my VLOOKUP formula down there. So I've done it in the price column and I've done it in the cost column as well. That's what it's asking you to do, price and cost. So again, just to check it out, cost of a sideboard is currently £200. And let's see if we can find a sideboard. There it is, £200. What if I change that to be £400? I want to see that flowing through. There it is, it's updated to 400. So it stops me from having to make all of those individual changes. I just need to make them once here. Which makes much more sense. So that's what we're asking you to do with the VLOOKUP. And that is it for the Dorset question. So it's a much quicker question. Just be aware of the marks available. If you see there's fewer marks for the Dorset question. So again, in terms of your time allocation before the exam, make sure that you've looked at this mock paper and looked at where the marks are lying, so that you make sure that you are allocating your time accordingly. If in the exam, one of the main reasons that you don't score as highly as possible will be due to time management, and the only way you can improve your speed in answering these questions is to do lots and lots and lots of question practice. So you've got all of your seminar examples, which are all exam standard questions. You've got this mock that I would advise you to do as many times as possible without the answers, and really test yourself. Do it to the time available, so see if you can do it all within 2 hours. And then on the Now page, you've also got some extra past exam questions. So here, past Excel assessments for revision. So you've got a cash budget and pivots question, and you've got an apportionment question. And again, I've posted the answers to those as well. So you've got lots more to go on there. So I think if you try these questions, try all the seminar questions, try the mock, try them again and again and again, you'll have prepared enough to do well in this exam. If you don't do lots of thorough preparation, then you will struggle in the exam, and you'll struggle due to time. It's about getting all of these questions completed in the time available. So you do need to think about which are your strongest questions and answer those first. You don't have to answer the questions in the exam in the order that we set them. So if there's a question that you know that you're fast at, for example, maybe the pivots, if you know that that's your forte, go for that first, get it out of the way, and then you'll know what you've got left for the costing and the cash budgeting question. Don't forget presentation. So for all of these questions, we're expecting a professional level of presentation, and don't ignore the marks available for commentary. So there is marks on the costing question and on the cash budget question for commentary. So please don't ignore those, because they are really important. So for example, on the cash budget question, we ask you to comment on the cash position over the 6-month period and what actions the company should take. So is the cash position getting better or worse? What's driving that? And what could the company do about it? So does it need to look at changing its selling price, looking at reducing costs? Does it need to take out an extra loan? Could it reschedule a capital payment? Could it spread its capital payments over a couple of months? Those kind of suggestions are what you're coming up with there. So we want to see that you can actually analyse the data as well as calculate it. Okay.